We're not just asking people at that sort of individual and family level to follow the rules. Everybody has to follow the rules, and there are rules in place, and we have, there is still an enormous, as I said off the top, there's an enormous amount of work still going on right now, and it'll continue into the night and throughout tomorrow, and perhaps even beyond then, to make sure that we've got as much clarity as you can ever possibly have when you're doing things for the very first time in really complex circumstances. A bit like the point that the Chief Commissioner made about discretion, there won't be a heavy-handed approach. If people make a genuine error, I'm talking about businesses now, if they make a genuine error, then we'll work with them to make sure that doesn't happen a second time. But these rules are there for all of us. They are painful, they're difficult. It's heartbreaking to have to take these steps. But if we don't, then we will never get to the other side of this. It will go on and on. That's no good for health. It's no good for the vulnerable and indeed all Victorians. And it's certainly no good for the Victorian economy. So we've all got to play our part. We've all got to invest in this, as painful and difficult as it is, so that we can get to the other side.
Victoria is the only state that has had an exercise exemption for people who are supposed to be isolating at home. What's the reason for that? Why did we ever have that exemption? And have you had to overrule the Human Rights Charter to now close that loophole?
My view has been very clear about this. I'm not entirely sure about your interstate analysis. I don't know whether that's correct. I'd need to look at that. But what I'd say is, for the vast majority of people, this has not been an issue. And to a certain extent, this is about putting matters beyond doubt. And it's also about making sure that when Shane and his members and ADF and authorised officers of the Health Department are out there doing their important work, and this is moving to a whole new level, the notion of everyone getting door knocked and everyone getting multiple door knocks, it becomes very, very difficult if there's any reason to be out, other than one that can be pretty quickly proved, pretty quickly validated. You either needed emergency medical care or you didn't. So it's just about trying to make the job, the big job that Victoria Police have to do, and ADF and authorised officers, as simple as we possibly can. State of disaster provisions put that matter beyond doubt. I don't think that it was in doubt, to be honest. And the vast majority of people have been doing the right thing. But we're now into a different phase. And these are the steps that we have to take, and that's exactly why I've taken them.
Professor Sutton said just last week that we couldn't effectively lock these people up. They had to be allowed outside for fresh air. What's changed?
Well, we've got community transmission, mystery cases. We've got stage 4, and we've got to get this done. That's what's changed, Rachel. And I apologise to those who are doing the right thing. This will have an impact on them. But ultimately, we've got to get this done, and that's exactly the decisions we've made. That's the approach we're taking, and I won't have a situation where the enforcement work that Victoria Police are doing off the back of enormous amounts of work that ADF and Health Department officials are doing on the doorstep, I won't have that undermined by people having a kind of a loophole, if you like, that they might, a loophole now that they might seek to exploit.
Just on masks, speaking of loopholes, we understand from frontline officers that when they're going to particularly groups of, say, younger people, that they're using the excuse, oh, for medical reasons I can't wear a mask, and there's no requirement for them to provide any proof of that at the moment. But it's being seen as a way of getting out of having to wear a mask. Is there any...
If we need to tighten that up, of course we will. Like, is there anything... I'll just take a deep breath. And is there anything worse than someone pretending to be unwell in order to get out of wearing a mask? Like, seriously. You need to wear the mask. You will be pulled up. If I've got to change the rules again... sorry, we haven't changed mask rules. If I've got to go further, then of course we will. We're not going to have police being lied to. We're not going to have people just flouting these rules. Wearing a mask is about keeping you, your loved ones and every Victorian safe. It is not too much to ask. The nurse in the intensive care ward will be wearing a mask, and it's not too much to ask that you wear a mask in order to avoid that nurse having to treat more patients than they otherwise would. And that notion of lying about your health status in order to avoid wearing a mask and in fact putting other people's health at risk, that's shameful. Shameful. I'll have a conversation with the Chief Commissioner about that. If there's a further change needs to be made, then of course we will.